Welcome to the Cinephile Hissy Fit podcast, the tirade-filled movie debate podcast hosted by two film critics, cool dads, and struggling teachers. I'm Don Shanahan.
And I'm Will Johnson.
We're new and we're damn glad to have you. We hope you've got your judge's scorecard. Folks, this is all for tantrum's sake, where shared passions and high fives wash away any place for hate. In the end, we encourage you all to love what you love, but for now, the gloves are off and the Hissy Fit is on. This week, we're talking about the cherished, the memorable, the revered Tree of Life, directed by Terrence Malick, recommended by kind of a little bit of both of us in terms of a lover and a hater. Our format is this. The recommended lover goes first. That will be Will. They get 5 uninterrupted minutes to shower their praise and state their high-minded case. The hater follows with 5 uninterrupted minutes of their own to present their counterpoints with any manner of intellectual scorched earth. After that, we open up for 15 minutes of shared conversation where the Hissy Fit really gets chippy. Folks, Will Johnson's here. Don Shanahan's here. Let's go.
So I want you to, if your wife is in the room or your kids, I want you to blink twice if you need help. Because you said all those things about the Tree of Life, and I feel like this is a trap of some sort, or you've been kidnapped and forced to say things.
Can't wait for my 5 minutes. But your 5 minutes have started now, so fire away.
All right, have you set the timer?
I have set the timer.
All right. So, all right, I'm a weird guy. I think many of you know that. I always kind of went the road less traveled when it came to Terrence Malick. I think the biggest example of that was when I was in high school. 1997 or 98, I should say, was a year that they had 2 major war movies, or at least that's how they promoted them. You had Saving Private Ryan came out that year, and then you had The Thin Red Line, directed by Terrence Malick. I was a huge Malick nerd, and I convinced all my friends to go see The Thin Red Line, and they were all expecting this, epic, Saving Private Ryan-esque, World War II, grimy, gory, action-packed adventure. And instead they got, 45 hours of men reading poetry while Terrence Malick slowly puts his camera through trees in which the sun is shining through. And it just goes on like that forever and ever. And I couldn't be more pleased with anything like that. The meandering, almost, I don't want to say pointless, but the kind of free nature of the way he directed a film like that, especially when you have the ability to you'll go into deeper corners or actiony corners or whatever, like he did. He went the road less traveled, and that's what I did. My friends were all bored to death. I was very happy, and I saw it multiple times in the theater, and people thought I was crazy. So I am a sucker for the kind of Terrence Malick experience, which it is an experience to watch his films. I remember taking my mom to see The New World, and I was like one of 3 people in the theater, and everyone was, I could just tell from the people that were in there that they were trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Why are we spending 9 hours looking at a log, in the colonies? And I was just like, it's not about a plot necessarily. It's not about going from A to B to C. The thing about a Malick film is it's all about mood. It's all about feeling. Tree of Life, to me, is, well, first of all, I'm astounded by the audacity of such a film because it decides to go on both sides of the spectrum. It decides to show you a small, tiny piece of Americana in the 50s. Just a family of, I believe it's 3 boys. It's 3 boys. Yes, one's a baby. 3 boys, and then the mother and father, one played by the luminous Jessica Chastain, and then the other by Brad Pitt, in probably one of the best performances of his career. I always point to Tree of Life as one of those movies that I say, yes, Brad Pitt can act. He's more than a pretty face. He is a great actor. Tree of Life is one of those. But anyways, I digress. You have this small slice of Americana in the 50s, and then you have countered with that the formation of the fucking universe, which I find just amazing. The audacity of a filmmaker to go to those lengths, to basically compare the human experience on such a tiny level to the universe and its expansion and its the best it can offer and the worst it can offer and the frightening indifferent nature of the universe. Because by the film's end, there's a fantasy of, I believe, the world exploding from the sun, or the world dying from the sun exploding. So I just love the audacity of it. It takes what I saw from Malick at an early age, like early for me, because I wasn't alive during, his heyday before he disappeared for 20 years, like Days of Heaven and Badlands and stuff. I didn't see those till later in life. So me, I was more into that retrospective or that introspective Malick mood with, Thin Red Line and The New World and things like that. The religious stuff threw me off a little bit. I'm not a very religious person, but I do like the mixture of religion and philosophy. And it also, unlike a lot of very hardcore religious things, doesn't discount science because there's actual dinosaurs in this thing, which if you told me the Tree of Life has dinosaurs in it, you probably would have been like, what? But it does. It has dinosaurs in it. And it actually, one of the best scenes of the movie, talks about the ethics of life when a dinosaur chooses at one point not to kill its helpless prey and actually decides to go do something else. These are the kind of philosophical, human, even if it's a dinosaur, human element that you get out of a Malick film. And The Tree of Life probably emphasizes those the most by going on the wide range of, like I said, going from the tiniest nuclear family in the 50s all the way to the formation of the universe. Also,
Finish your point.
My last point was also, for those of you who are into practical effects, such as Star Trek The Motion Picture, the original Blade Runner, 2001 A Space Odyssey, all the visual effects in this film, believe it or not, were practical effects done by Douglas Trumbull, who came out of retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So the visuals in this are not only astounding, but they are a throwback to a former age of cinematic storytelling. Anyways, that is my time.
All right. That was lovely. That was really cute. If you put that in a card and then covered it in drapes and some grass, you could sell that to Terrence Malick's grandkids, and they would be like, "Aw, this man likes us." I'm going to tell you right now, I hate this movie. I don't say hate a lot. You can ask my wife. I hate this movie. And where I'm coming from with this is I'm at a point of so much hate for this movie that I feel bad for people like yourself and people like everyone else who raves about this movie who find something from this movie. I'm like, oh my God, how empty is your fucking life that this is the movie that inspires and stirs you so much to change and move your life. Do you know what I get out of this movie? Not a damn thing. All right. I get the 1950s sucked. I get 1950s dad sucked. I get that women didn't get to do shit. And I get that there's a way of grace and a way of whatever else the other thing was that becomes the only quote I remember from the movie. All right. Other than that, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes of the most choppily edited, prettiest thing in the whole wide world. I dig it. On an existential level, I'm there. The Tree of Life symbolizes religious, scientific, philosophical notation that is everywhere. The Chinese, the Indians, the Norse, the Egyptians, everybody's got their kind of symbolism that goes towards a Tree of Life thing. I can get that. I can dig that. I'm a heady critic. I can pick up that sort of thing between man of faith, man of science, all that existential stuff. Is it pretty to look at? Sure, if it's a slideshow on my computer for a screensaver, because that's what this movie's chopped up to be. All right? You have gorgeous cinematography from Emmanuel Lubezki that is chopped to shreds because they have to weave the weakest narrative possible of random 1950s this and gloomy present day that, where every 4 seconds, hey, look, there's a fucking tree. Hey, look, there's a waterfall. Hey, look, there's Jessica Chastain. Wishes she could talk, but let's put her in some drapes because we haven't done that 4 movies in a row. I just can't see the shred of the point of this movie to the point where, like I said, if you actually glean something from this, I feel sorry for you. Because all I wanted after this movie was a roadmap, a 5-hour energy, headphones to hear the whispers, and tape to hold my eyes open. I was lost. I bet if I rewatch it, I might be able to grab another point or two or pick something else up of what I got. I think I can easily respect Brad Pitt's performance and all that, but this is the most pretentious piece of shit I've ever seen. All right, I'm a fancy pants film critic. I do the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing. I've climbed that level. I'm all that. I can watch some slow cinema. I can do all that. But this movie is a stack of postcards flipped as if it was an old school animated flip book. That's all you got. Because man, by the time I was bored out of my mind as it was. Now I can be impressed by the legendary effects that are possible from old school things from Douglas Trumbull, but the 30-minute plus dramatization of the Big Bang and the formation of the universe, lost. Give me back my life. Because all I'm looking for there is Sir Richard Attenborough and prettier music and better visuals. In the meantime, you have Desplat score that just kind of willows there a little bit in that. And then, yeah, by the time we finish that whole universe sequence, we're back to the 1950s where it sucks, where we're kicking the can. We're chasing pesticide trucks. And it's just so random. Is it mature and is it pretty? Sure. But man, I need something more than that. I need some dialogue. I need some conversation more than just things that are whispered for 2 hours. I hear there's a 6-hour cut of this that might be on Criterion or something. No, thank you. No, thank you whatsoever. Because by the time I go through a candle glow, another set of clouds, some skyscrapers, another tree, I am just beaten to death. I want nothing to do with it. The average, I'll sound like a fancy pants film critic again here. The average shot length of this movie feels like I'm watching a Transformers movie. Because, like I said, there's gorgeous, long-form, slow cinema things going on here that is chopped to shreds by every random inserted image of nature. Now, I get that that's your streaming of consciousness thing. I don't need to watch that for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Absolutely not. It is just, sure it's pretty, sure it's nice, but I just want some ice cream when I'm done. I want my 3 hours of my life back. I want a long hug. I want my brain reprogrammed. No, thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, you're always right on time.
I am always right on time.
It's amazing.
It helps that I get to watch the clock.
Well, it's just amazing that you're able to condense the massive amounts of bullshit that you spew out into a 5-minute thing. It's amazing. I know.
Big pride.
It's just
I'm patting myself in the back. Barry Horowitz 80 style.
Yeah. I really don't know how to comment.
That's because you have no reply. There's nothing that can be refuted in what I've said.
Well, I
got me.
Don't know if it deserves a reply. Like I should even. Oh, should I even?
Are we calling it a show? Guys, it's been nice. Hit the outro.
Should I have even lowered myself to respond to this? Just absolute. You know. Here's the thing about Don Guys. Smart guy. Smart guy. You know. Not a lot of there, but we won't go into that. That's just another thing. But my whole point is that, first of all, I'm offended, sir. Offended that you would say that by me getting anything out of this film, that I have no life. Now, look, you may be correct. I do not have a life, sir. But
called it.
It's a coincidence. It's a coincidence. Merely a coincidence.
Sure. Let me guess. You watch Melancholia and just want to bone Kristen Dunst on the golf course and let the world smash into us and kill us too in that movie too.
Oh, here,
Von Trier coming next. Here we go.
Tricks on you, pal. I've never seen Melancholia except for that nude scene on MrSkin.com. So
you chose wisely.
Yes.
You chose wisely.
So that's the only thing I've seen of that film was her naked. So this is not helping my case that I have no life.
Anyways, no, it is not.
Okay.
As the clock ticks by.
Anyways, here's the thing. When I think of Tree of Life, I actually am not like when I take some of the other philosophical movies that really move me, like Blade Runner 2049 and things like that. I'm not really necessarily moved by Tree of Life. I'm more impressed with the ability for filmmaker to take on the task of using something small and something big to make their point. And just the concept of Tree of Life gets me going, because I just love the idea that I'll give you an example. I gave a speech at a wedding once where
Okay.
I talked about how when you're on a cruise ship, right? And you're in the middle of the ocean,
Mhm. Okay.
and
A place I'd rather be than this movie. Keep going.
yes, yes, there is such a sense of feeling small where
Mhm.
you realize that you're just a tiny speck in this universe because you're surrounded by ocean, which has miles and miles of life both below and around, and you're on this little tiny boat of civilization. And it
Mhm.
made me think of the fact that the way that we interact in this world, the way that we create worlds with our little family units, our little circle of friends, and then
Okay.
compare that to the enormity of the universe and the fact that there are billions and trillions and cajillion little Earths, just like the ones we have in our families and our small circle of friends. It always just made me wonder, and to me, that can be a very intimidating and can be a very um, I wouldn't say sad, but it is a
Yeah.
philosophical thing where you think, man, I'm just so
Yeah.
small in this universe.
No, I can match that. I have felt that in many ways. Like I'm a failed, busted, Irish Catholic,
Mhm.
where I've kind of been missionary dated by my wife to kind of go non-denominational and try to get better about being a church guy. And I get it to the point where in many places where same thing. I look at the world, I feel small. I don't feel the bigger picture of things and all that. And I have those existential, that existential angst and grief. And when those things happen, sure, I can turn to, the idea of is there grace out there? And sure, I can turn to the idea of where my place is in nature and how small I really am. Can I do that without Brad Pitt as my dad being a shithead in the 50s? Hearing about how my dad's life when he was a kid in the 50s sucked? Yeah, I'm good. I'm telling you what, my cup can fill with that from other places, more successful places, and even to a point, more prettier places, or even more dreadful places than watching this movie. No, I hear you. I hear you. There is philosophical ground to tread here. But then I get to the way Malik does it, and I'm lost. I
Mm.
don't need 30 minutes at the beginning of time. I don't need every drape again and every curtain and every tracking shot. Like to me, and I'm going to say this, to me, he's a hack.
Mm.
He is Michael Bay with prettier skills.
Whoa.
He has the same five moves. He is Seth Rogen in the Knocked Up where he's got the dice dance move and that's all he's got. He's got the drapes. He has Lubeski wrapped around his nuts and that's it. Because other than that, he has this. I don't really have a script. We just kind of go out there and act. That's crap. That's a hack move. That's bush league. Have a story. Have a script. Go somewhere with it. You can shoot the prettiest things in the world, but if it's incoherent or pretentious, it goes nowhere for me. By the time you do all that and chop it up with this, like I said, the Apple OS slideshow of nature images that I wish would be, ooh, that's a nice wallpaper. Do I need to watch that for $11 and three hours? No. So prettiest stack of postcards in the world, but I can't go there to the. Like I said, I said it in my review, and I say it in lots of places. I get what he's trying to do. I just can't call it effective.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I can see why people would think this is pretentious.
Mm.
I well, for one, I don't care. I think that's one thing that makes me.
That's fair. To
I
each their own on this stuff. I
I
agree.
I think, like I said, this works for me because,
Okay.
like I said, when Thin Red Line came out and everyone was expecting, based on the trailers, another Saving Private Ryan, and you got this
Hmm.
very methodical look at nature
Sure.
and how people think in times of crisis and war.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a big sucker for. I think we talked about this on a prior podcast, but I'm a big sucker for slice of life. Put me in the
Hmm.
in this. Put me in this place. Fly on the wall kind of stuff.
Sure.
So to me, to get the intimate details of a home, because when you go
Yeah.
into somebody's home for the first time, you don't know the ins and outs and the nooks and crannies and what certain things mean
Sure.
to people. The fact that this film can portray not only the small, tiny things that make you feel like you're living in a home, but also explores the universe. And that's why I'm saying I just love the audacity of it.
Sure.
I'm not as moved by it. I more like to think about it. I don't want to say that I'm moved by this film.
Okay.
I am moved by
Thank you.
yeah. I am I am very moved by Brad Pitt's performance. I
I'll
think
tip my hat.
I
Sure.
think that he's excellent. I think that the fact that he is, it's very easy to portray like a 50s father as this
Mhm.
gruff, like,
Yeah.
terrible person. The fact that he has layers to him, the fact that he has these passions that he cannot,
Mhm.
commit to because of his job, because of circumstances in life. Um,
Yeah.
the fact that there's shades of gray to him. I mean,
Okay.
is he an abusive father? I think that's up for debate. Like, is it?
Yeah, sure. I think he's like a 1950s level of abusive, like the kind of guy who will, give you a couple spanks and a couple slaps. He's not bruising kids and getting DCFS called him, probably because it didn't exist. But at the same time, no, he's not. He's not ruining children for life. But he's sure making them remember, hey, don't cross the boss. And I will tip my hat to Brad Pitt. That was a very mature performance. Same year he did Moneyball, which was, what a 1-2 punch in terms of like nice to show the range of acting
Yeah.
because we got the Brad Pitt coolness that we all expected, or we all know him for in something like Moneyball, where he can show that charm, but also show it with an edge. And then you get him here, and you're like, remove all charm and just make him this force, this presence. And like you said, some of that's the 1950s and the tone and the minimalism that comes with that kind of performance. And to see that out of Brad Pitt, who by that point was more a movie star than serious actor, was fantastic. So oh no, I'll tip my hat there. But I mean, I'm not going to be one of those people that throws the Bechdel test at this movie and says there needs to be more female things to do. But I do feel bad for Jessica Chastain, other than how good she looks. I just wish she had more to do.
Oh,
I know
really?
this meant to be a little bit. I know it's meant to be a male story written by a male who I'm guessing Terrence Malick lost a brother because he's made 3 damn movies about losing a brother. Where that's kind of where that's going to go. I will circle back and say what you said. Like as a filmmaker, where he dares to go is special. Like The Thin Red Line is a movie I very much respect. It's obviously I don't put those two next to. I know they came the same year, the same way people put Saving Private Ryan next to it. I try not to do that where I'm like, hey, just judge them separately. One's a massive star, showcase that's Tree of Life, and the other one is a Spielberg movie, and they couldn't be farther apart in that kind of way, despite the year they're in. And when Malick has some boundaries, I'll say it like that. When Malick has some boundaries, a beginning, middle, and an end,
Mhm.
he could tell a very beautiful and compelling story. When he doesn't know where he's going and can't quite exactly end it without just going morbidity ending, like Knight of Cups and this, that's where he loses me. I know he has a I forgot was the Oscar contender he had that I got a screener for last year. That's
Oh, the
3 hours.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful A Hidden Life.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. I admit I'm too scared to watch it because I've been burned way too many times by Malick where I just can't go there.
Oh, you'll hate it.
I'm sure
You will despise it.
I'm then I'm see I've heard friends recommend it. Then I've heard friends say, Don, you're that guy who hates Tree of Life. Don't even touch it, but give it a try. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get there. So someday I will cave and watch the criterion of this just to say I did. And either I hate it more or maybe I've matured better than I was when I was, 31 instead of 41. But man, I don't know.
Well, and I should sidebar this
Yeah.
just to have the difference of opinions here. If you go to 25YL, I
Mhm.
have a review of Hidden Life that came out when it came out. I
All
saw a
right.
press screening of it, and Don recently wrote a ridiculous review of A Tree of Life.
Yeah.
I don't know why he brought it up, and only to piss me off because who writes about the Tree of
Right.
Life or talks about the Tree of Life except us out of
Yeah.
a personal
The
vendetta in 2021, 10 years after the fucking movie came out.
I know.
Anyways,
The editors asked for a hot take. They're like, "Hey, we should do a hot take series." I said, "I got just the thing," and it was the Tree of Life. So,
oh boy.
and yeah, I don't know if we've made a hot take article since then on 25 Well. So, thank you, Nick Luciano, for your fantastic scheduling and editing.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that.
All right, we have a
Panther's
final minute. We have a final minute of our 15-minute back and forth. My final closing thought is, it's a pretentious slog for me. I don't. I know what they're trying to do. It's very pretty with what they're trying to do, but the crux of my thing is I don't see a shred of point. It's
Mm.
or if there's a shred, it's a pile of shreds because they chop this movie up so much that I just can't keep up with it. But that's me. I'll let the lover finish with the closing minute, and then we'll hit this off.
No, all the things that Don doesn't like about the film are things that I like about it. I think that's
All right.
why Malick appeals to me is
Yeah.
because of his unconventional style, which some people will no doubt see as pretentious, overlong, boring, hacky maybe.
I said it,
but
yeah.
but I see the opposite of it. And I think that's kind of where Malick sits in the realm of film anyway, because I think Malick is this kind of immovable object that people
Yeah,
I don't think there's any middle ground with Malick. You either love or hate him, I
I
would
agree.
imagine.
Yeah, he counts as a maverick. He counts as a visionary, and I'll say that. But he's just for me a limited one. And I mean, his movies will garner attention no matter where he goes because you just want to see what that guy will attempt next. And he's got. I mean, those things will never be marketable. I mean, his movies are box office failures that
Mhm.
are just here for the art, and which is fine. But he's unlike Scorsese, I can compliment him on this. Like, he's not there trying to make $200 million think pieces. You know, he has made small movies. He has stayed making small movies. Don't get me wrong. Every $1 million you give him, you might as well be throwing down the toilet because you'll never get it back in investment. You'll get it back in artistic integrity and all that, but you'll never make money off this movie or his movies, and that's probably
Yeah.
okay.
And
All
he
right.
actually doesn't care. He actually doesn't care about star power because he'll actually
No.
cut people out of his films
Oh
completely,
yeah.
no matter how big of a
Absolutely.
star they are. So, anyways,
Oh, this was a good hissy fit. This was liberating for me even to release the hate of this movie that I always have. It's a pleasure to chop it down every chance I get.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It's, I'm glad you got to get this off your chest.
I did. Whew.
I'm not really that offended. Really, to be honest with you, I totally get it. I mean, you're wrong, but I mean that's fine.
I
But
know. I
whatever.
called you empty inside, you and everybody else, and you made it through. And
Mm,
I applaud you, and the show will go on.
mm.
Hit us with the finish.
All right, so everybody, follow us on Twitter at Cinephile Fits and on Facebook at Cinephile Hissy Fits Podcast. Also, find us both on Letterboxd. We've posted a poll matching this episode for you listeners to weigh in on who you think made the most compelling argument to win this Cinephile Hissy Fit. Thank you so much for your captive audience social media participation. Cinephile Hissy Fits is a 25YL media podcast brought to you by ruminationsradionetwork.com. Please visit, rate, review, and subscribe. Send hate mail to Don. If you've enjoyed this show, we have more where that came from with interesting hosts and wonderful guests, all available on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere you find your favorite shows.
Will, thank you much. I'll see you next time.
See you next time, my friend.